After watching 7 seasons of Shenanigans, we still have some lingering questions about Jess and her friends. What made Jess agree to a hospital wedding? Why did it take 3 years for the final season of New Girl? And will there be a spinoff? Hi, I'm Dylan, and you're watching OSSA Movies. Why did season 6 feel like a finale? Most viewers thought that New Girl would wrap up after the end of the 6th season. It certainly had all the hallmarks for a finale. From Nick's career finally starting to get serious, to Jess wanting to move out to stay with her dad in Portland. Portland, really? To Cece and Schmidt moving into their own home and finding out they're going to be parents, and Winston reconnecting with his dad and getting engaged to Ally. So yeah, a ton of stuff happened that seemed the right moment to send the gang on its merry way. We even found out Schmidt's real name. It's Winston. What are the chances of 2 Winstons in a group? A finale-esque move if we ever saw one. But even though Nick and Jess finally ended up together, the fans wanted to see more, and took to social media to demand it. Despite the red herrings about the finale, the show faced a very real threat of not renewing any more seasons. So writer Liz Meriwether and the cast petitioned Fox for a final season, and their wish was granted, with a catch. They only had 8 episodes to finish the story. No pressure. In an interview with Variety, Zooey Deschanel admitted that, "I really wanted to do another season just so that we could send the show off properly. I appreciated that opportunity." And so did we. The mystery of the 3-year gap. In order to properly round off the stories, the writers made use of a well-known technique that had never been used in the show before, the flash forward. The show's creator, Liz Meriwether, admitted, "I think we were all feeling like, how do we show that they stay friends even without living together?" They wrote that flash forward in, and I was nervous about it because we've never done anything like that on the show. But it ended up, I think, working really well. The flash forward introduced a lot of changes. Schmidt's a stay-at-home dad to a toddler, while Cece is killing it as a modeling agent. Winston and Ally are expecting their first baby, and Jess and Nick have been touring Europe for his book. Though the rest of the gang's development is pretty natural, we can't help but wonder what happened with Jess and Nick for 3 years. How long was the book tour? How famous is he? Is Jess still working? Why didn't he propose during the 3 years? With so many questions and so few answers, allow us to suggest a theory. We think that over the 3 years, Nick took his writing up a notch and really got into his career as a novelist, while Jess supported him and played cheerleader before eventually becoming Nick's manager. While putting some order into his professional life, Jess likely homeschooled their kids so that they could travel the world to promote his work whenever needed. It sounds fair, but what are your theories? Let us know in the comments below. What happened to Julius Pepperwood? Given that Nick returned from a European publicity tour for his book, his writing is obviously a huge success. So why doesn't his agent want another Pepperwood novel? Obviously, because he's crazy. The books were so successful that we think Nick had to enlist the services of a bigger, more international publisher. Not only that, but we're pretty sure that it could have been turned into a movie later, finally allowing Nick to be a success at something other than brooding. Of course, we're already secretly hoping that he had a few other literary ideas, and that the future Nick we glimpse at the end of season 7 is actually a famous writer with Jess as his muse. Why was the wedding so rushed? I bet when Nick asked Jess, "Do you want to have the weirdest wedding of all time?" you weren't imagining things would turn out the way they did. After 7 years of an on-again, off-again relationship, Jess and Nick are professionals at drawn-out romance, which is why their hurried hospital wedding seemed so out of place. Sure, New Girl is good at sweet twists, but after 6 seasons of tension between these two, and given that Jess is the ultimate romance-obsessive, A-type personality and girly girl, we wanted something more. No, we needed something more. Something with cute dresses and bows and glitter that would immediately make us tear up and wish we were Jessica Day. But it wasn't meant to be. When Ally goes into labor on the day of the wedding, the Day Miller nuptials are held right there at the hospital. Opinions were mixed about this impromptu ceremony. It was inspired by the show's creator's own wedding accident involving an eye patch, though Zooey Deschanel wasn't sure it was the best move. In an interview with Bustle, she'd hoped for a different ending, one that was more melancholy and ambiguous. And she's not the only one, though some fans have claimed the wedding's spontaneity and haphazard planning make it the perfect start to Nick and Jess's marriage. After an equally confusing but adorable relationship, others were left feeling a little cheated. It's possible that with everything that needed to be covered in the 8 episodes of the final season, there wasn't time for a grand wedding, making the sexual tension that built up over 6 seasons just evaporate. Where did Jess and Nick go? Nick and Jess were the last couple to leave the loft. the place that started it all and brought them all together. But what was their destination? Despite Jess's emotional wreck of a farewell, which included Nick begging the others to join her in the nostalgia, she was pretty excited to get to a new place, complete with a reading nook. But what does it look like? And is there room for everyone to visit? In the final episode of the series, the attention is all on the loft, especially when we find out that the entire reason Nick and Jess had to leave was part of a scarily elaborate prank by the master of the mess around, Prank Sinatra, aka Winston Bishop. After packing up and a final game of True American, Jess and Nick are finally ready to leave for their new home, only to discover that they needn't have left in the first place. Despite this, the move worked well with the finale. The last two members of the group were saying hello to a future of being proper adults, and we loved every second of it. How did Winston and Ally afford 5 kids? When we left Ally and Winston in Season 7, they just welcomed their first son into the world. He may not have had the best name, Danville Bishop really, but the sneaky clip of the future shows that not only did the couple have a few other kids, they could think of better names 4 more times. But how the heck do 2 cops afford to have 5 kids? Since we can't exactly verify their financials, we have a very reasonable theory. At the end of the 6th season, Winston finally meets his long-absent father in an awkward and endearing moment in which the two really hit it off.
Say what you gotta say, son. Daddy!
Fast forward to the future, and Winston and his old man have had 3 years to get to know each other and make up for missed memories. After a montage of scenes of Winston and his dad making up for lost time, imagine fun fairs and candy floss with both men laughing and joking, Winston finds out his dad is really quite wealthy and offers to help his son's family out with some much-needed moolah. Happy endings. Will there be a reboot with the kids as BFFs? Okay, so the show's writers and cast have admitted that the 7th season was the real finale, and that New Girl will not be returning to our screens. But what about a reboot featuring all the kids? We're not the only ones hoping for something like that. The fans have asked, and Jake Johnson at least has responded via Bustle. I will say, if we ever do a reboot, I hope it's not with that many kids. I'd be honored to bring it back if people want it, if the time was right, but truthfully, my main reason would be working with the cast again and having fun. Just imagine it, a whole bunch of mini Winstons and mini Schmidts along with the mini Nick who could star in a spin-off show. It could be the next How I Met Your Mother meets Friends, and it would make many hearts very happy. Oh, to dream. How about a New Guy spin-off? But the kids' relationship isn't the only one fans want to see more of. What about the bromance between Schmidt and Nick? These two have been together for years through thick and thin. Literally, they both survived Fat Schmidt. And there are countless times that Schmidt expresses his love of Nick, which goes unrequited until the finale. Not only did we learn that Nick really did love Schmidt when he finally admitted it, but that the actors behind these two roommates were equally enthralled with each other. In an interview with Bustle, Jake Johnson admitted that, "I've been lucky enough to have a lot of romantic leads in movies and indies, and you do form a different kind of connection when you do that together as actors. Max, I feel, is like at the top of my list." To round off their relationship, the writers penned a scene in which the two shared a paternal kiss, but it was cut at the last minute, leaving us without closure, but with hope for more. The future might be just that little bit grimmer without New Girl to cheer us up, but we're not the only ones mourning the show. Jake Johnson also admits it was tough, but luckily there's a consolation prize.
You know, it was hard saying goodbye to that character and that cast, but what makes it easier is the cast still texts each other all the time.
Would you watch a New Girl spinoff, and who would you want to see in it? Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more awesome videos and news.